Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Welcome back to another episode of Robin Speaks. This is episode 10 and we are no longer trapped in my tiny bedroom. I'm now outside under the glorious Malaysian sun. In this particular podcast episode, I have plenty to talk about. I want to update you on the current situation in Malaysia. I want to tell you what I'm doing recently. And of course, I want to talk about the recent announcement from Olympus, the two new lenses in development, the Pro lenses, 20 F1.4 and 40-150 F4 Pro. I want to share my thoughts on these lenses. That's plenty to talk about, so let's do this. Interesting fact, this particular video is filmed with the Yongnuo 25 f1.7. I've made my full review video on that lens. I'll put the link up here, please check it out. In that review, I didn't test the lens for video performance. I'm not a videographer, I'm not a cinematographer, but some people requested that I do something with the lens on video. So here it is, I'm filming this full episode using the Yongnuo 25 f1.7. And today is the last day that I have the lens. Tomorrow I'm meeting up with my friend and I'm passing this lens to that particular friend. So no more tests with this lens from me. Honestly guys, I'm so relieved that I can now finally go out from my room. The lockdown restrictions have been eased and the travel restrictions of 10 kilometers have been lifted. I can go to the city, I can move about with my camera, start taking photographs. I've been doing some shuttle therapy sessions and I can be outdoor filming this video and it just feels so good to be outside again. I've made a few videos already, I think 3, one with the 8-25, vlogging around. I've made a low light shooting video at night, sharing some tips, and also my full review for the Yongnuo 25 f1.7 lens, which I've just published a few days ago. And I hope you guys enjoy this breath of fresh air. And I myself feel so much better not being trapped in my tiny little room. Believe me guys, I have so much I want to do. I have a long pending list of content that I want to create for this channel. I have a lot of camera tips and tricks, especially using Olympus cameras to share, and a lot of this content I need to be outdoor to take more sample photographs. I have some lens reviews that I need to do, and a lot of this content have been pending since before the lockdown, and I couldn't do them in my tiny little room during the lockdown. And now that I'm finally free, I'm so excited to get back and try to do as much as I can so that I can publish these videos in the coming few weeks. I have been out shooting almost every day since the lockdown was lifted, either taking photographs, doing shuttle therapy sessions, collecting sample photographs, or filming videos like this so that I can publish them right here. Please bear with me, a lot of interesting stuff is coming and I can't wait to share them with you guys. I cannot believe that we are already at episode 10 of this Robin Speaks video podcast series. The original intention for this podcast are so that they are fillers during the lockdown season. I couldn't go out to take new photographs. Without interesting photographs, I can't make good content. The only way to continue making videos and engage the audience is to sit down in one place and start talking about random things. And I thought a podcast would be the right thing to do. And I went on and on. The lockdown was longer than expected. It lasted more than 4 months. And now we have episode 10. Thank you so much for staying with me. I couldn't believe that people actually sit through this podcast. I was rambling on, but you guys were there for me and I couldn't ask for more. And thank you. I really appreciate you guys just for being here and all the amazing support that I've received. Man, it just shows that I must go on. I must continue trying my best to create more content, and believe me, they are definitely coming. But I'm not too sure if I want to keep this podcast format because it doesn't make sense anymore now that I'm outside. I have a lot of other things to do. I want to shoot. I am a photographer. I'm the happiest when I'm with my camera outside taking photographs. And I want to share these photographs with you guys. I want to share my experience shooting with you guys. I want to share my knowledge. I want to share all these tips and tricks. I want to share so much with you guys, and all these things can only happen outside, not the podcast format. So I'm not sure if you guys still want me to continue doing this podcast. Let me know if you want me to just sit down in one spot and talk for half an hour. Let me know if you're still interested for this podcast series to continue. I'm not too sure, but for now, my priority is to go out and shoot more and share more interesting tips, share more lens reviews, and maybe about photography in general. I think for now, that's the best. I know some of you will be asking, hey Robin, how about the promised 8-25 F4 Pro review? Well, here's the story. I have a friend who lives near me. He's a professional photographer as well. He had a shoot very recently and his 7-14 Pro broke down during the shoot. And it was an emergency. He needed a lens immediately to replace that. He didn't have the time to run to the store to buy one. So he contacted me and said, hey Robin, can I borrow an ultra wide angle lens? And I only had the 8-25 in ultra wide angle zoom. So I thought, okay, sure. Here is the lens. So I passed it to him so that he can continue doing his job. Everything went well. The crisis was averted. Nothing serious happened. I saved the day, of course, Robin to the rescue as usual. And you know what? He still has the lens at this moment and he needs it for another 1 to 2 shoots, either this week or the coming week. And his 7-14 was sent for repair. So I told him, hey, you know what? You can use the lens as long as you need. You know, no need to waste money to buy another 7-14. I got your back, you know, there's no rush. And to me also, I think that the 8-25 is not an urgent review. I can do that maybe a few weeks later, a month later. The lens is not going anywhere. You guys are not going anywhere. I'm still here. And when I get back the lens, I'll do my best to take more photographs and do my review, of course. So for now, the lens is with my friend. And hey, you know what? There are a lot of other things that I want to do. And I'm really excited to share them with you guys. In case you missed the announcement from OM Digital Solutions just a few days ago, 2 new lenses have been announced in development. The Olympus 20mm F1.4 Pro and the 40-150 F4 Pro. I have plenty to say about these lenses, some good things and some not so good things. Let's start with the good things. Now, I personally think that this is fantastic news. OM Digital Solutions is obviously still committed to the Micro Four Thirds system. They will make new lenses, which is great. And these are not just any lenses, these are Pro lenses, which also strongly suggests that they are already making the coming Wow Pro camera. I cannot wait to see what the Wow camera is going to look like. There's no point to have a Pro camera without Pro lenses. So committing to make more Pro lenses is the right decision. I think strategy-wise, this makes a lot of sense to instill more confidence in the current Micro Four Thirds users and tell them, hey, we are still serious about Micro Four Thirds system. Here are some Pro lenses. And of course, we have something amazing coming. So please don't go away and have patience. We are trying our best. The Olympus 40-150 F4 Pro makes a lot of sense. It completes the trinity of 8-25 F4 Pro, 12-45 F4 Pro, and now the 40-150 F4 Pro, the Holy Trinity F4 lenses. Or if you want to include the 12-100 F4 Pro, then it becomes a quaternity. Is there such a word? The quaternity F4 lenses, and these are fantastic zooms. If you look at all these F4 zooms before, the F4 Pro lenses, the 12-45, 8-25, and of course the 12-100, all these F4 Pro lenses are excellent lenses. They are weather sealed, optically they are superior, they are super sharp, and the lenses are well built. There is no complaint about these lenses. They all work really well. They produce fantastic results. I've been very happy using 12-100 f4 Pro. I have the 8-25 f4 Pro. I've been really happy about the lens as well. And seriously, I'm expecting the coming 40-150 f4 Pro to be the same. And looking at the size based on the image render that Olympus or OM Digital Solutions provided, the lens is really small. That's why Olympus creates this new line of f4 Pro zoom lenses. While they already have the fantastic f2.8 Pro zoom lenses, we have the 7-14, 12-40, 40-150 f2.8 Pro. That's great, but to make the lenses really small, in line with the philosophy of Micro Four Thirds system being as small and as light as possible, for photographers who want to keep their system as portable as possible, the f4 Pro zooms make sense. They are still weather sealed, they give you pro level image quality, and if you don't need the f2.8 brightness, the f4 is good enough. It's really good enough. Ming Tian, a fellow professional photographer from Malaysia, has told me this before, and I really agree with him that I'd rather have an f4 lens which is super optimized, which is really sharp, delivers great results at f4, than a subpar f2.8 zoom lenses. I'm not saying Olympus f2.8 zoom lenses are subpar. I'm just saying that if the f4 lenses are fantastic, they perform really well, why not? f4 is still really good to work with. I'm also very happy to see that Olympus adds another prime lens, and this time an f1.4. Maybe Olympus is starting up a new line of prime lenses at f1.4, which is not bad. If it is better than f1.8 and not as expensive as the f1.2 Pro lenses, I think it will do really well. And 20mm is a great focal length to start with. Look at Ricoh. They have just launched the Ricoh GR3X, which is an update to the GR series, which is fantastic for street photographers, compact cameras with fixed lenses. And the GR3X is equivalent to 40mm in focal length. So there is a demand for a 40mm equivalent focal length. I think that the 20mm fits this really well, and it is good to have more options. We already have the fantastic 17mm and 25mm from Olympus, both the f1.2 and f1.8 versions. So 20mm f1.4 sits right in the middle of these options, and it offers weather sealing, pro level image quality. I think it is a huge welcome. If I were to be entirely truthful, I wasn't super enthusiastic when I heard this announcement. Yes, I've just mentioned that I'm happy that Olympus is adding more pro lenses to their lineup, and I think that these lenses make sense. But I do think that the priority is misplaced. You see, there are a lot of things that OM Digital Solutions can do at this moment. They have just taken over Olympus. Olympus sold off to a new company, JIP, so OM Digital Solutions now is trying to at least maintain the current base of Micro Four Thirds users. It is not easy to hook in new customers or new photographers and convert them over to the Olympus OMD system, since they don't really have that many new products at the moment and people are not really confident in this new company. So the first few steps that they make, they are extremely important. I just feel that the 20 f1.4 and the 40-150 f4 Pro, while these are going to be great lenses, they shouldn't be the priority for OM Digital Solutions. I feel that lenses like 100mm macro, or maybe more prime lenses updated from the 17, 25, 45 f1.8, the budget prime lenses which perform really well, give them weather sealing. Just make them maybe 20 to 25% more expensive than the asking price, or maybe just replace the old 25, 17 and 45 with the updated version, supersede them, right? Discontinue the older versions and come up with the new versions with weather sealing. Call them Mark II, 25 f1.8 f1.8 Mark II, 45 f1.8 Mark II, or 17 f1.8 Mark II, and maybe improve them a little bit, like better optical performance on top of the weather sealing. I think that will definitely make a lot more Micro Four Thirds Olympus users happier. I'm sure there will be a lot of comments on the overlapping focal length. We already have the fantastic 40-150R, which is the budget lens. It is cheap, it is really small and compact, yet it performs really well. And on the pro side of things, we already have the 40-150 f2.8 Pro, which is a superb lens. I've used that lens a lot for my professional jobs. And I can say that if you are a professional photographer, the 40-150 f2.8 Pro is a must-have. Then we have the 40-150 f4 Pro. I know I've just mentioned it makes sense because Olympus is trying to create a new line of f4 zooms to make it smaller, lighter, compact, wider sealed, and still delivers great pro lens quality. I know that. But now we already have the 40-150 f2.8 Pro, we have the 40-150R. So to make this particular option, the f4 Pro lens, a little bit more attractive, why don't we make it a little bit different? Say maybe instead of 40-150, make it 50-200, so that people can choose, oh, if I were to go to the f2.8 options, it has f2.8 bright aperture, which is already by itself an advantage, but it stops at 150. But if I go to the f4 zoom, I go to 200, I gain a little bit more reach. Or maybe make it 50-250 if that's possible and still maintain a really small size. I don't know, I think Olympus is missing something here. They can make it a little bit more attractive by adding this new enticing differences, right? Rather than just another 40-150, which is so similar to the previous two focal lengths. I'm not just so similar, it's exactly identical. I think similarly, this is the same with the 20 f1.4. I know Olympus doesn't have 20mm yet, but Panasonic already has a fantastic 20 f1.7 pancake, and it's been around for some time. And to say that it is not overlapping, it is also a lie. We already have these options in Micro Four Thirds. And when people look at lenses, they don't just look at Olympus options, they also look at other manufacturers from Panasonic, Sigma, or anyone else. And looking at everything as a whole, another 20mm is good. I'm not saying that options are bad. Having more options is definitely good. I would love to see that. And I'm not saying that it is a bad decision to have 40-150 f4 Pro and the 20 f1.4 Pro. I just feel that the timing is a little bit off now that it's not that we don't have these lenses, we have so many options available already and they are overlapping. Like I said, there are other things which could take better priority. Another complaint from me is that stop it with these development announcements already. It doesn't make any sense. I know that you want to tease the customers that, hey, there's something coming. You want to create marketing hype and you want to generate that excitement in the market. Or maybe just that because everyone else is announcing something at the moment, you also want to announce something from OM Digital Solutions. But you don't need to. When the product is ready, just launch it. I think that surprise factor is more important. Now that you announce something in advance, you created the hype, but months later, if you don't launch the product in time, the hype is going to die down. And when you finally launch the product, people have already heard about the product before and they were like, am I gonna look into this anymore? You know, the hype is dead. I understand if that product is something huge, something with a lot of wow factor, for example, the 150-400 Pro. That is a fantastic product. It's phenomenal, and in terms of engineering, it is a marvel. So to announce that in advance, saying that, hey, this lens is in development and we have the technology to make this lens, it makes headlines, so it makes sense. But 20 f1.4 prime and 40-150 f4 Pro, after all the f1.2 lenses from Olympus and having the f2.8 Pro lens, I think these are not really headline grabbers. Don't get me wrong, I'm still happy to hear these announcements. I just feel that why don't just skip the development announcement and just launch the product into the market. I think that will create more hype, more energy, and people will respond better as well. Between the two lenses, I personally think that the 40-150 f4 Pro will sell a lot better than the 20 f1.4 Pro. A lot of people already own the 40-150R, the budget telephoto lens from Olympus, or any other options from Panasonic. And I think that 40-150 F4 Pro is a logical upgrade. If you already have the 40-150 f2.8 Pro, then it doesn't make sense to get the F4 version. But a lot of people are holding back because the 40-150 f2.8 Pro is quite huge. It is not exactly a light and portable lens, and it is not cheap. It does cost a little bit of money. So if Olympus priced the 40-150 f4 Pro lower, and it is more affordable, I think we have a winner. Definitely it makes sense because a telephoto zoom is a widely used lens in a wide range of scenarios. Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional photographer, especially if you are a professional photographer, you will definitely need a telephoto zoom lens, a high quality one. And if you don't already own the 40-150 f2.8 Pro, then the F4 version makes a lot of sense. Now, why the 20 f1.4 will not sell as well? Not initially, but maybe after a while it will pick up. That's because a lot of people, existing micro four thirds shooters, already have the 17 or 25mm lenses from Olympus. Either the f1.8 or the f1.2 versions. And if you look further into the Panasonic territory, we have the 15 f1.7, we have the 25 f1.4, 25 f1.7. There is plenty of options, and chances are whoever needs a prime lens already have all these options that they can get. These lenses are not new, they have been around for many years, and if you need one, you already have one. And I don't think that these lenses will be enough to entice new customers to come into micro four thirds, not until the new wow camera comes along, right? So we are looking at existing customers. If you already have 17, it doesn't make sense to go to 20, or if you already have a 25, it doesn't make sense to go to 20 f1.4. And most people already have both. They have 17 and 25. So I think 20 will not do that well at first, but of course, after a while, seeing the positive reviews and how versatile that focal length can be for street photography or any other photography, then maybe it will pick up. But trust me, I can tell you 40-150 f4 Pro will do really, really well. What's really important now is that OM Digital Solutions need a win. They need a product with a wow factor that can create a huge impact. And when anyone sees it, not just micro four thirds users, anyone from other camps, when they look at the product, it will be a winning factor for OM Digital Solutions. For example, when Olympus launched the EM5, the original EM5, the first OMD, it was a huge win. It was the first micro four thirds camera that's weather sealed. It's the first camera ever to have the 5-axis image stabilization. It produces fantastic image quality featuring the new 16 megapixel micro four thirds image sensor, which rivals some APS-C top cameras at that time, including the D7100 or D7200 from Nikon. If you compare side by side the dynamic range, the high ISO resolution, it was very, very similar. And you know, Olympus and that camera, it focuses really, really well. It has built-in viewfinder, one of the very few mirrorless cameras that have built-in viewfinder, and all this in truly small and compact body, and the body was made from magnesium alloy. That was a huge win from Olympus. It was a huge head turner. Everyone paid attention to the EM5, and even full-frame shooters who had no interest in Olympus, they bought the EM5 just for the fun of it. OM Digital Solutions need that similar win. They need to create a new product, whether it's a lens or a camera. When people look at it, they will like, wow, I want one. This is something that I've been missing all these years. I need to get it immediately. And I really, really hope that whatever that wow pro camera that is coming, whenever that is coming, will fit into this role. And I really hope that it will be worth it. That's all I have to share about the two new lenses in development from OM Digital Solutions, the 20 f1.4 Pro and the 40-150 f4 Pro lenses. Do let me know if you agree with my thoughts, Or if you have something you want to share, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Some note on the autofocus performance of this Yongnuo 25 f1.7 lens, which I'm currently using to film myself, this talking head. The autofocus is not that reliable in video. I left the autofocus to track my face. The active tracking detection thing is on. Usually I have no issue with Olympus lenses. Any Olympus lenses, it will just stick to my face. And it does feel like I've only been reviewing this footage from the back of my camera screen. I haven't looked at it in the computer, but I think that later when I'm editing all these footages, I think there will be a lot more misses. So do bear in mind that if you are going for the Yongnuo 25 f1.7, the autofocus may not work very well in video using Olympus cameras. Currently, I'm filming with the EM1 Mark II. If you've enjoyed this podcast episode, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how you can do that. Any small contribution goes a long way, will help me to continue making similar content and publish them right here. Boy oh boy, I have plenty of content to make and I can't wait to share them with you guys. Please also give me a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll definitely see you again in the next one. Remember to go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.